Ben Shaw.
Zone run for no gain here from Wisconsin. You're going to see right off the bat, both Kemp and Monet are dealing with double teams here. They both get blown back a little bit. I think they both could do a little better. It's tough when you're, getting double teamed. But I do think they both could have done a better job here. Pei is the #1 guy on this play. This tight end here is really late out of his stance. You see all these other linemen are starting to execute their block. I think that's part of it. Pei still does a good job to work into this block, and then he'll work down the line. Cuts back any potential cutback lane for Taylor here. After this double team, this motion going here, there might be a potential cutback lane. Since Pei really engages that tight end, works in the backfield now. You see he's 2 yards here in the backfield. He actually makes contact with the running back, and this lane that you can kind of see isn't a possibility because Pei is standing right in it. So really good job there, and that allows flow of other players. Winovich does eventually get around him, work down the line, and he will be the guy who kind of tackles Taylor here. His play is only possible because of Pei being here. So now Winovich has won. He will work down the line and make contact for the tackle. But again, that's only possible because of Pei. Finally, Bush and Gill do a good job here. You'll see they're initially going to come up here and kind of wait. They'll see this action from the offensive line of Wisconsin going down this way, so their initial reaction is to their right. Their first steps will be to their right, reacting to that. And then they really have to fight through traffic. So you see right here, almost mirror images, and they have guys who are now coming off the double team to get them. They engage the offensive linemen and really put their nose inside these gaps, work through tackle, and they both make contact and help bring Taylor down. So overall, Pei makes the play. Good job by Winovich, Bush, and Gill, all to disengage their blocks and finish up the tackle.
Back in the game, empty backfield, play clock at 2. Hornibrook delivers quickly out of the pocket, batted in the air, and then
weird formation for Michigan. Given that it's an empty set, they can afford to do this really weird 7-person on the line of scrimmage and this kind of gap here. Since Hornibrook isn't really a rushing option, they can have this weird look. You're going to have 4 rushers for Michigan. Hudson off the edge. You'll have Pei attacking the edge here, as well as Uche on the other side as your pass rush specialist. You'll have Winovich actually looping in here. He'll attack the center of the offensive line here, trying to get these offensive linemen to kind of shift down to Pei and maybe get 2 guys out on Uche to get Winovich in space. Doesn't actually work, given that it's a quick throw for Hornibrook here. There wasn't really much of an option for any pressure there. On the outside here, you're going to have this little fake outside slant. You'll have this guy in white, I'll note here. That's just slant. You'll have a crossing route out of this innermost receiver on the top. Down here, this tight end guy is outside releasing into what I believe is probably an out route. You don't actually see it, and there's no replay that shows this side of the field. And I'm thinking that would make sense for a route combo here for this guy to be running a post route. I think that's what makes most sense given all this action's going one way. Late option down here, maybe if this safety jumps on this crossing route to open up the center of the field. So that's what I'm thinking is happening here. At the bottom of the screen, who's to say though? You'll see Hornibrook's eyes here on that inside slant all the way. Take a look at Bush here. Bush is not rushing. I don't know if you caught that, but he was right here looking over here first. He notices this inside crossing route here, crossing his face. So he checked there first, and then he's going to look back at Hornibrook. He's going to look back at Hornibrook, see where he's looking. So despite this route right in front of his face, he's looking at Hornibrook. Hornibrook is not looking at that crossing route. He's looking outside here at this inside slant. Given that he follows his eyes, Bush gets a hand on the ball. Unfortunate that it goes to another wide receiver, but all you can do is get your hand on the ball. It works out. It's a 3rd down stop, brings up 4th down, and Wisconsin punts. So good job by Bush. He kind of makes this play.
Final minute of the quarter. Here comes the pressure. Hornibrook escapes, but he will be slung down.
Bush on the sack. Michigan sends 5 on this passing play. So you're going to have Winovich and Pei on the ends here. You're going to have Dwumfor cutting straight up field on the center. You're going to have Hudson and Glasgow here into the B gaps. So 5 rushers for 5 blockers plus this running back here. So 6 blockers really. The big mistake that Wisconsin makes on this play, 63 is looking outside expecting Hudson here. 62 on the center I think is expecting Bush here. That leaves this path, this big path for Dwumfour to come upfield. This running back isn't going to notice until really late that Dwumfour is unaccounted for. You see by this time he's already dead meat. He's already got too much pressure. You'll notice Winovich coming up here as well. That really only gives Hornibrook one option here to escape the pressure, and that's up here. Given the outside leverage for Hudson, he has to cut back inside. So not a whole lot of options for Hornibrook at this point. You'll notice the linebackers do really well here, slash safeties, I guess. You can see here and here both Hudson and Glasgow are engaged. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Glasgow and Hudson are engaged. Right now, Hornibrook has to decide, okay, which way am I going to go? He decides to go this way. Notice that Bush has not engaged with his center yet. Only once Hornibrook does decide to go to his right does Bush engage with the center, disengage, and boom, he beats him to the spot. So it's a good job of staying disengaged until Hornibrook does make that decision. Therefore, Hornibrook is met by Bush since Bush waited for that. He was patient. Now notice all the routes for Wisconsin here. They're all long developing. None of these guys will turn back by the time that Hornibrook is in his panic mode. So right now, he has nowhere to read. All these are deeper routes. Hornibrook has to focus on not dying instead of reading the coverage. As a result, he's in full scramble mode. He's trying to figure out where he can go, and he's dead meat. So good coverage, good blitz, and good reaction by Bush.
Hornibrook pressure off the edge, and they've got...
Big sack from Uche here, 3rd and 3 at midfield. Michigan's going to send 5 on pressure. Winovich off the edge. In the middle, you have Marshall, Solomon, Pay. And then that leaves Uche wide open here. I think this is only possible because of a shift that 61 puts on. See, he's looking to his left. He's going to shift left. 63 is going to shift left, pick up Marshall. 71 is going to pick up Winovich. 66, since they're on a shift left, is picking up Solomon here. 79 picks up Pay, and that leaves wide open for Uche. So no one accounting for him, not sure why that shift was put on. And, you know, they do a good job here of executing their blocks, but they leave this guy wide open. Uche's got his hands up since Hornibrook is looking out to his right. Hornibrook doesn't really have an option to throw it away, and it's a good sack. As far as the routes go, bottom of the screen you have this kind of crossing route here. On the outside you'll have 2 slants. This inner slant is supposed to act like a pick on Hudson here. That's because the main route here is this wheel route from this tight end. That's going to be Hudson's goal, is to cover this guy in man-to-man. So this is a tough route to cover given that he has 2 slants to work through. He actually does a good job here ducking under that. He does get away with maybe a slight hold here that doesn't get called, but really good to stay close with him. I think, you know, right away you can see Hornibrook looking at this action. I think he's looking to see if this pick works. Then he's looking for this wheel route. You'll notice right after the pick that there is a bit of separation here between Hill and this slant route. If Hornibrook was checking this right away and maybe the separation, he would have fired off for this slant. Given that he's just looking here, Uche's already in his, Uche is already in his face. It's not really an option, so, you know, he tucks here. What I didn't notice is that on this hit, you're going to see hand on the right shoulder of Hornibrook here. This other hand's coming through. Uche actually strips this ball in a different universe. This might get kicked around, might be a actual turnover, but good job by Uche not only getting a sack, he should get a forced fumble for that as well.
Big run for a touchdown.
Hard to come by. Play action on 1st down. Hornibrook lofts it into traffic, and it's picked off. Interception by Metellus, weaving his way in.
Big interception for Josh Metellus off of a tipped pass from David Long. Pressure doesn't really get to Hornibrook on this one. Michigan's only sending 4. You got Winovich. You got Pay off the edge. So not a whole lot. Monet does get pushed late. You'll see here off the play action. Kind of Winovich applying a little pressure off the edge. Monet's collapsing the pocket a little bit at the time of the throw, but pressure isn't really an issue here for Wisconsin on this play. As far as routes go, you got a crossing route for this tight end at the top, wheel route from this fullback, running back out of play action is going to run an out route. And then the bottom of the screen, out of this slot, you have a post corner. Then you have a fade route at the bottom of the screen. And you'll see the top routes here are accounted for pretty well by Michigan. You got Hudson here and Devin Bush dropping back into his zone. That'll cover this crossing route and this out route here. And then you see Kinnell has pretty good coverage here on this wheel route from the fullback. So none of those are really good options. As far as at the bottom of the screen, where you can really see now on the left side where Hornibrook's really looking, it looks like this post corner is coming open, right? Because it looks like David Long is one-on-one on this fade route out here. What the actual case is that this is Metellus. He's covering this fade route, this deep third here. And you'll have David Long, who's going to sit in this route ready for this post corner to come into his zone. As a result, when Hornibrook throws, that's David Long right there. Fortunate that the tip goes to Metellus, but he's there in the first place. Tips can get crazy, so it's a good job. Good vertical leap here from Long, and like I said, tips can be weird, but it's a good job by Metellus on being there ready for the tip, approaching the pass, and ready for anything after that.
And Wisconsin finally see the football here in the third quarter, but they're down by 14. It's been a steady diet of Taylor.
Michigan has about 9 defenders here to stop Taylor, only for a gain of 2 yards. On the backside, it's like a Winovich and mainly Solomon. Solomon drives back the guard. They're both backside. They'll both work down the line and eventually add themselves to the pile. But Solomon especially gets just incredible push here and then works down the line. So really good job. You know, they kind of constrict any sort of backside lane there. You'll see Marshall gets good initial push. He will get pushed back a little bit. You'd like to see him hold up a little better, but overall, again, he's blocking any sort of cutback lane, so not a bad job by Marshall. You'll see Pay really makes this play. He engages with this tight end, keeps his outside shoulder free. He'll disperse this tight end down, and he'll make first initial contact here with Taylor. So you see here, he really shoves this guy inside. Notices Taylor is coming to his outside, disengages, makes that initial contact. Really good job by Pay. Good job by Bush and Hudson here. You'll see they'll both work forward here. They'll get engaged by offensive linemen. They'll disengage, so see they're both here. Hudson especially bounces back the center, I believe. And then they both work towards like probably second and third and fourth contact on the running back. So really good job to disengage with some offensive linemen. Then lastly, Watson's guy, you see number 4 in motion here. Again, this is coach. I'm sure this might be, this is probably Kinnell's guy now. I'm not exactly sure, but you'll see Watson shifts down the line, keeps his hips towards the play, eyes in the backfield. Notices Taylor has the ball now, shifts down, outside leverage, makes second contact with Pay here on the running back. So just good fundamental football. You know, overall, it's like 8 players here on the pile. So everyone does their job. They get to the tackle. It's a team tackle, just really good assignment football, and everyone getting their hat to the ball.
Your wide receiver. End around again, and this is Pryor who scored.
So good adjustment here from Michigan. They had been getting gashed on these jet sweeps. So you'll see this wide receiver gets the ball here. What they're running on the outside here that was gashing them. So this guy is going to run what looks like a slant. As a result, Watson would before follow him on this slant. The goal of this wide receiver is to take out this safety. So before, when Watson was following him, not only would he, 1, get the block on this safety, but he would take out 2, this outside contain, since this looked like a route. That would leave no one on the backside. It would force either Metellus or maybe this linebacker, if he gets away from a block here, to kind of flow to the play. They're big chunk plays. Think Wisconsin got 2 of them. Now, see what happens. Watson's got his eyes in the backfield. Number 16 is on his crack block, but notice how Watson is staying home. He has his eyes on this jet sweep. He's going to see, you know, which way is he going. This holds up this guy. He notices, okay, I have this outside defender now. Do I try to make a miss? That gives time for flow to the play. Gives time for Winovich to work down the line. It's time for everyone backside. So Watson makes a good play, tackles him only 2 yards on the play. Good job by Winovich here. Notice how he sees now that this is a jet sweep. Gives himself a realistic angle here. He's a defensive end. He's not going to make the initial play, but he takes a realistic angle, bubbles out, and just shows off that motor that he has by taking a realistic angle to the edge of the field. So good job by Watson. I like to see that play from Winovich as well.
Play clock at 2. And it's a play action on 3rd and 2. Hornibrook dumps it up. Intercepted. Picked off by Lavert Hill. Pick 6, Wolverine.
Pick 6 for Hill to seal the game here against the Badgers. Michigan's really late to getting into their set here. You're going to have Winovich. He's not even set. He's just going to come straight off the edge here. You have Uche, the pass rush specialist here. Going to have Pei actually cutting inside a bit. Monet going upfield. And Kemp is the one who eventually gets the pressure here. Now, Wisconsin's doing something weird. They're actually pulling a guard here. I'm not exactly sure if that's a deception move to try to get the coverages messed up a little bit. But as a result, I think that definitely affects the ability of Kemp to get inside here. So notice that he engages with 71. 71 is actually moving outside to help with Winovich. Not sure why, since Winovich is accounted for by 49. Maybe they just want to double team him. As a result, Kemp pushes him off. This center has to account for this guard right here who pulled. As a result, Kemp has outside leverage. He pushes him really well in order to create this lane for him to get to Hornibrook. Notice how he's got a straight path here. He'll affect the throw, and that's what allows this interception to even happen. On the routes, you're going to have this outside receiver run a slant, and then this tight end is going to be running what looks like a fake, what looks initially like a block on Bush before going and continuing this crossing route. Main mistake here, Watson, this is his assignment here on this crossing route. Watson does not pick it up. You'll notice right here, Watson's looking in the backfield, and boom, he's caught. This guy's already on his route. You'll notice that Hornibrook is actually looking, I think, probably at Metellus, see his depth. Now it looks like he's shifting to the slant, debating whether or not he should throw there. Not sure why it takes so long to look over here. A lot of room upfield here. A lot of the broadcasters were saying, you know, this empty space, they would probably get a touchdown out of this throw. I'm not convinced you'll have both Metellus and Watson getting to this space, but it would be a big gain likely. Good job by Kemp to get the pressure. Good job by Hill with the athletic play. And it really seals the game against the Badgers, so good job.
This is a rarity. Brochet plowing.
Now in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 3, Brochet is stopped for 1 yard, so it brings up 4th down. Backside does pretty well here. You got Hutchinson and Marshall both working down the line. They do a good job staying engaged, not letting anything really open up on this backside here, and Bush is kind of a part of this as well. But they do a good job working down the line towards the action of this play. You'll notice that Dwum 4 here does get doubled, so you got both the center and the guard doubling, and they get a good amount of push here on Dwum 4. You'll see Dwum 4 does get turned around. You'd like to see him stand his ground a bit more. It's a tough double team, and he does kind of get 66 off, so no one really gets to the linebacker Gill behind him, but you'd like to see him not get turned around like that. This tackle is in a drop step like it's a pass play, which leaves a lot of room for Winovich to blow up this play, which he does. I think this tackle just must have missed the play call because there's no reason he should be giving up this much room. You'll see Winovich makes initial contact with the running back, will eventually wrap up, and that really blows up this play, so that tackle just wasn't with the play. Then good job by Bush. You see he'll eventually fill this backside hole. He'll work down the line, work through some contact, get to the play, as does Gill here. So it's a good job by both of them. You know, Bush coming up, noticing it's going to his left. You'll see Gill kind of seeing this double team, and then they'll both work through here to make contact through traffic on the running back and stop any forward momentum. So good job by Winovich taking advantage of that missed block assignment from the tackle, and good job by the linebackers working through traffic.